Assalamu alaikum, class 4th year morning evening batch, group A, B and C. I am your course in charge, Hirafsha, and I am going to present another new topic today, that is hypertension. So what does hypertension mean? Hypertension is the another name for the high blood pressure. The blood pressure is the force that is exerted on the blood vessels by the blood or against the walls of the blood vessels by the blood, and this pressure depends on the resistance of the blood vessels and how hard the heart works. In 2017, the American College of Cardiology (ACC) and the American Heart Association (AHA) guideline for the prevention, detection, evaluation and management of high blood pressure in adults defined the hypertension as a systolic hypertension occurs when a systolic blood pressure or SBP is greater than or equal to 130 mm of Hg, and the diastolic blood pressure DBP would be greater than or equal to 80 mm of Hg. So basically the hypertension is the high blood pressure, and the AHA and the ACC or American College of Cardiology or American Heart Association defined that the high blood pressure occurs when the systolic blood pressure reaches to 130 or above mm of Hg, and the diastolic blood pressure reaches to above or equal to 80 mm of Hg. What are the risk factors of the high blood pressure? There are two types of risk factors. Number one is the modifiable risk factors. Number two is the non-modifiable risk factors. Modifiable risk factors include the unhealthy diets or the lifestyle, which includes the excessive salt consumption, high diet high in saturated fats or trans fats, and the low intake of fruits and the vegetables, and less physical activity and consumption of too much tobacco or alcohol, and being overweight or obese. But these are the modifiable risk factors. The person can easily modify their diets or their lifestyles to get rid of this high blood pressure. And the non-modifiable risk factors include the family history of hypertension or the age over 65 years and the coexisting disease such as the diabetes or the kidney disease, etc. These are the non-modifiable risk factors. The person cannot modify his family history. If he has any mutated gene for the hypertension, then he would not be able to modify this risk factor. The complications of hypertension include the stroke, heart attack, heart failure, nephropathy, retinal hemorrhage or peripheral artery diseases. Keeping the blood under control is vital for preserving the health and reducing the risk of these dangerous conditions. So if the hypertension is or the high blood pressure is not fully controlled, or then it will lead to the further complications that may occur, including the stroke, heart attack, heart failure, nephropathy or the kidney damage, retinopathy or retinal hemorrhage, eyes or vision will be damaged, and the peripheral artery diseases. And the signs and symptoms of the high blood pressure includes the early morning headaches, nosebleeds, irregular heart rhythms, vision changes, buzzing in the ears. Severe hypertension can cause the fatigue, nausea, vomiting, confusion, anxiety, chest pain and the muscle tremors. And sometimes the hypertension acts as a silent killer. And Most people with the hypertension may have no warning signs or symptoms. And it could lead to the stroke or MI or heart attacks, etc. So it can be a silent killer for that patient. The classification of hypertension is defined by the JNC 8 classification of blood pressure. The JNC 8 is basically the Joint National Committee, and it is the 8th report of the Joint National Committee on Detection, Evaluation and Treatment of the High Blood Pressure. In short, we used to say JNC 8, and classify the hypertension as, number one classification is normal blood pressure. The normal blood pressure is less than 120 mm of Hg, systolic one, and the diastolic should be less than 80 mm of Hg. Then it will be classified as the normal blood pressure. And the pre-hypertension is classified when the blood pressure of systolic blood pressure ranges from 120 to 139 mm of Hg, and the diastolic blood pressure ranges from 80 to 89 mm of Hg. The stage 1 hypertension occurs when the systolic blood pressure ranges from 140 to 159 mm of Hg, and diastolic blood pressure ranges from 90 to 99 mm of Hg. The stage 2 hypertension occurs when the blood pressure gets more high or greater than and equal to 160 mm of Hg for the systolic blood pressure, and the diastolic blood pressure would be greater than or equal to 100 mm of Hg. Then it will be classified as stage 2 hypertension. In patients 60 years or older who have diabetes or chronic kidney disease or CKD or both conditions, the new goal blood pressure defined by the JNC 8 is less than 140 by 90 mm of Hg. So this will be the target goal of the blood pressure in case of CKD and the diabetic patients, which is and this value is given by the JNC 8 guideline. There are two types of hypertension. Number one is the primary hypertension, number two is the secondary hypertension. Each type has different cause. The primary hypertension is also called as the essential hypertension, and this kind of hypertension develops over time with no identifiable cause. Most people have this type of high blood pressure, and a combination of factors may play a role in this type of hypertension or essential hypertension. These factors include the genes. Some people are genetically predisposed to hypertension who have the family history of hypertension, and this may be due to the gene mutations or genetic abnormalities which are inherited from their parents. And the physical changes, if something in the body changes, the person may begin experiencing issues throughout the body. So the high blood pressure may be one of those issues. For example, it's thought that the changes in the kidney function due to aging may upset the body's natural balance of salt and fluid. So this change may cause the blood volume, and it will ultimately cause the high blood pressure. And the environment also affected the person to get the hypertension. Over time, unhealthy lifestyle choices like the lack of physical activity and the poor diet in the patient's life can take their toll on the body, and the lifestyle choices can lead to the weight problems. Being overweight or obese can increase the risk of the hypertension. The secondary hypertension, which is the second type of hypertension, results from the identifiable cause. Several conditions that may cause secondary hypertension include the kidney disease or the adrenal gland problems such as the Cushing syndrome. In case of the Cushing syndrome, the plasma cortisol levels will be increased, and this will lead to the increased absorption of sodium due to the increased cortisol levels, and it may result in the hypertension or the high blood pressure. And in this case, excretion of potassium will also be increased, and that will result in the hypokalemia. So this is the Cushing syndrome or the adrenal gland problem would be the cause for the secondary hypertension. Congenital heart disease defects and the problems with the thyroid glands and the side effects of the medications such as the MAO inhibitors and the TCA, tricyclic antidepressants or the monoamine oxidase inhibitors. These are the drugs which can cause the hypertension. The MAO inhibitors, these are the drugs that inhibit the activity of the monoamine oxidase enzyme. So it also prevents the breakdown of the monoamine neurotransmitters or the catecholamines, for example the norepinephrine or the epinephrine dopamine. So due to this, their bioavailability will be increased, and it activates the sympathetic nervous system, which will result in the high blood pressure. And in case of the TC or the tricyclic antidepressant, they also increase the rate of the epinephrine and the norepinephrine in the blood. So the sympathetic activation, nervous system activation will occur, and it will lead to the high blood pressure. And the use of the illegal drugs or the alcohol abuse or chronic use can also lead to the high blood pressure. Certain endocrine tumors such as pheochromocytoma, which is the tumor of the adrenal gland, it stimulates the hypersecretion of epinephrine and the norepinephrine from the adrenal gland, and results in the increased peripheral resistance or activation of the sympathetic nervous system, and results in the high blood pressure. The diagnosis of the hypertension is done by measuring the blood pressure through the BP apparatus. With the help of the BP apparatus, which is known as the sphygmomanometer. And if the blood pressure remains high by checking it in 2 or 3 intervals, then the doctor will likely to conduct more tests to rule out the underlying conditions if it is a secondary hypertension or not. So these tests include the urine test, cholesterol screening, and the other blood test to rule out the complications of the hypertension, and the test of heart activity through the ECG or the electrocardiogram, or the ultrasound of the kidneys can also be done to check out the presence of the kidney disease or the chronic kidney disease, and to check the activity of the adrenal gland. The ultrasound of the adrenal gland can also be done to make it confirm that it's the secondary hypertension or the essential hypertension. The treatment plan for treating the hypertension according to the JNC 8 guidelines. These guidelines say that the first line and the later line treatments should be limited to 4 classes of medications: thiazide type diuretics and the calcium channel blockers, ACE inhibitors, and the ARBs. The second and the third line alternatives included the higher doses or combination of ACE inhibitors, ARBs, thiazide type diuretics, and the CCBs. And the Several medications are now designated as later line alternatives, and which include the beta blockers, alpha 1 and the beta blockers, which example include the carvedilol and the central alpha 2 adrenergic agonist, example clonidine. Direct vasodilators, example is hydralazine. Direct vasodilators, example the hydralazine. Loop diuretics, example the furosemide. And the aldosterone antagonist, spironolactone, and the peripherally acting adrenergic antagonist, example the reserpine. These are the several medications which can be used as the later line alternatives, but the first line treatment should be initiated with these four classes: thiazide type diuretics, CCBs, calcium channel blockers, ACE inhibitors or the angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors, ARBs, angiotensin receptor blockers. Or the combination therapy or the higher doses of ACE or ARBs or thiazide type diuretics or the CCBs can also be given to treat the hypertension. The key points of treatment according to the JNC 8 guidelines: the pre-hypertension warrants management with lifestyle modification. There is no no need to use any type of medication in case of the pre-hypertension. Only the lifestyle modification would be enough. For example, the low salt diet, regular physical activity, and the dietary approaches to stop the hypertension, which include the DASH diet. DASH is dietary approach to stop the hypertension. DASH is a diet which is recommended for the people who want to prevent or to treat the hypertension, and this reduces the risk of the heart disease. The DASH diet basically focuses on the use of the vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and the lean meats. In general population, including those with the diabetes, initial antihypertensive treatment should include the thiazide diuretic, CCBs, ACE inhibitors or ARBs. And the adults with the CKD and the hypertension should receive an ACE inhibitor or ARB as initial or as an add-on therapy based on the evidence that these medications improve the kidney related outcomes in these patients. If the target blood pressure is not reached with 1 month after initiating the therapy, then the dosage of the initial medication should be increased, or the second medication can also be added. For example, thiazide diuretic, CCB, ACE inhibitor or ARB, but do not combine the ACE inhibitor with an ARB. If you have already given the ACE inhibitor, then you can combine it with the thiazide type diuretic or the CCB, but you cannot give the ACE inhibitor as well as ARB at the same time. So in case of the secondary hypertension, combination therapy is required. In case of the stage 1, you can treat the hypertension with only one drug, or in case of stage 2, you can treat the hypertension with one and more combination. So combination therapy is given in the stage 2 hypertension, and in case of the secondary hypertension, if required, then you can use the combination therapy. No beta blocker is totally safe in patients with the bronchospastic disease such as the COPD and the asthma, as the beta blockers can aggravate the symptoms of the asthma or the COPD. So beta blockers should not be used in case of the patients who have asthma or COPD to treat the hypertension. And the beta blockers can also mask the hypoglycemic symptoms such as the relative tachycardia, so it should be cautiously used in case of the diabetes mellitus patients. And the high blood potassium is another possible complication of treatment with the ACE inhibitor, so due to its effect on the aldosterone. The suppression of the angiotensin 2 leads to the decrease in the aldosterone levels, and since the aldosterone is responsible for increasing the excretion of potassium. So hyperkalemia may occur with the use of the ACE inhibitor, so potassium levels should be monitored, and because the ACE inhibitor has the potency to retain the potassium, so routine monitoring is required. So here is the case study which I am going to discuss it. The case study includes the subjective data and the objective data, and then the assessment and plan. The subjective data include the patient is 48 years old, and he has a recurrent cough and upper respiratory tract infection, and there is no significant medical history, and he is not taking any medications, and he has no allergies, and he is a regular smoker, and he has been smoking since his teens, and he also drinks alcohol, and his family history include the father died because of the heart failure, and the mother is alive with the type 2 diabetes mellitus. And the objective data include the on examination, his observations are the temperature is 37 degrees centigrade, which is around 104 degrees centigrade, 37 degree Fahrenheit, and the pulse rate is 78 beats per minute, and the regular BP is 148 by 94 mm of Hg, and then the clinician repeat this blood pressure test, and it comes to 144 by 92 mm of Hg. So X-ray of chest shows the normal heart size and no consolidation in lungs. Assessment. Does the Bill have hypertension? Bill may have hypertension because his blood pressure measurements are in the abnormal ranges. However, the diagnosis of hypertension should be based on multiple BP measurements taken on the separate occasions. However, the Bill's BP is still greater than 140 by 90 mm of Hg on subsequent visits. So it is confirmed that Bill has hypertension. The plan include this hypertension ranges in stage 1 hypertension, and if the plan include if the hypertension is confirmed from the multiple BP measurement, then Bill's medical history should be recorded, and he should also be examined, and investigation should be done to see if he has cardiovascular disease or the target organ damage or not. So you should recommend the behavioral modifications to this patient as the basis of his hypertension management. And example, reduced alcohol intake, and to reduce his risk of CVD, smoking cessation, encourage the DASH diet. And in Bill case, you may consider the possibility that he has the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. So avoid prescribing the beta blocker to it because he has recurrent cough and respiratory tract infections. So he may have some problem regarding the respiratory tract. So avoid giving the beta blocker to him. Appropriate medication given to Bill should be a low dose ACE inhibitor or the ARB or the CCB. Monitoring in monitoring, you should monitor the BP daily and maintain the monthly chart for his BP readings, and monitor the potassium levels in the serum if you are giving the ACE inhibitor or the ARB. ACE inhibitor, and monitor the patient, or the ARB, and monitor the patient adherence to the therapy. Adherence to the therapy should also be monitored, and schedule a follow-up after 2 weeks. Thank you so much. This is all about hypertension.